Alright, what's up, people? Another video. So, just to piggyback off my last video, talk about the term industry plants. And I see a lot of it, and some of it is true, but it's not like the full story. So, it's just to piggyback off my last video. Um, Now, I won't be dropping any names. I will bring up a name right now, though, and that is because I hear a lot like Kevin Hart is an industry plant. So the thing is, I'm not. I don't know if he is or if it's 50-50, and I'm just going just from just my experience regarding this. So I remember. So first of all, Kevin Hart has videos, stand-up videos from the '90s that's out there. Now some of these people who are accused of industry plants, um, I'm gonna give you a story regarding that. One thing I know is some of these people don't have stand up videos from back in the day. So it is kind of strange how they got to their position. But even still, it's not as cut and dry. And I'll get to that. So first with Kevin Hart, when I was doing stand up, I never met him, but I did know his buddy, and his buddy was in at the time was probably, I don't know, a little bit more famous than he was, and he was going overseas and doing he's kind of big overseas and was coming back and doing stand up, and that's when I met him when he was coming back, and I would hear different things as like the years went on about this Kevin Hart dude. Now I remember when I first really saw his face was in that movie Soul Plane when that came out. Um, I was like, who is this guy? Who is this little guy? And Soul Plane is very popular among a certain demographic. Like my dad, he liked it. He would ask me some of the joke, what the jokes meant. He didn't get them, and I didn't want to explain to him because some was a little raunchy. I didn't want to tell my dad what that was. But he had an audience, and so what he would do, and I even think he did this before what Kevin Hart did, well, before Dan Cook did. Dan Cook would do this thing. I don't know if people know the story, um, where he was using MySpace, and that's how he blew up, and that got a lot of comedians to market themselves through the internet. But yeah, again, Kevin Hart was doing something similar before even Dan Cook, because he was using Soul Plane, and he was using booking himself like that, not in like L.A. so to speak, and that's a whole other conversation. But he was going to other like black communities in other states across the country, and he built himself up through there. And I was hearing about that for years, so that's why I can't really 100% say industry plan or not. I'm not too sure, but these other people. So one day, and this continues from my previous video again with the diversity stuff. I got invited to it wasn't a lot of us, but invited to, I'm not gonna say the network or the studio, but got invited to this. It's very famous, very huge. If I say the names, like oh yeah, who they were, and to get there, and so they did this spiel for us to sign with their program, and what it was you would sign with their program, and they set you up room and board and food and everything. And during the week, you would have like rehearsals for sketches and whatnot. And then on Friday, you would perform in front of directors and producers, writers, showrunners, blah blah blah, to for to sign them or to put them on their whatever for you sorry on their show or movie or what have you. And the way I kind of justified it in my head was because back in the day they used to have actors signed to particular studios. So I'm like, oh, this is just a continuation of that. And it also made sense logistically because instead of running around town going to plays, going to stand-up comedy, trying to find talent. It's right there in the studio. It's like, let's go down there. This every week you going down there every Friday and seeing the talent right then and there. And then they told us some of the people that went through the program and the name, dropped their names and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's where they came from. I was wondering, it's like, how did this person just pop out of nowhere? It seemed, but now it made sense. So one thing, and then they said, write this name down. This is the next person that's gonna be blowing up. And I was like, well, wait a minute. That was kind of weird to me because it's like, what do you mean, the next person that's gonna be blowing up? Like, I thought it was, you have your talent, you come in, and then you go from there, and then you build up, your body of work, and you build up your relations, of course, with people in the industry. But what do you mean the next person to blow up? How does that, what? And then I started really paying attention. It was like that basically they were going to back people. Like, we're going to put our whole resources and studio, whatever we have, towards these people. And I was like, what? That's crazy. That's crazy. So I wrote the name down, and then skip ahead. Later on, I went to my girlfriend at the time, and I said, hey, write this name down, and let's see, if this is legit, because they said this is the next person that's going to be blowing up. And she was like, what that means? Like, yeah, exactly. So, they continue to spill. Now, the reason why I didn't jump at the chance to sign up with them at the time was, first I wanted to make sure that it was legit, because, I got that name. So I was like, let me see if that's going to happen. But then the other thing was, they were pushing this, that the reason why they had this program was for diversity. The problem, I was looking around the room, and it was like, I don't know, like, it was a certain type of diversity. Because first it was like, there was no white men there at all. Just the people running the program, the executives were white, but none of the talent was. I was like, And then the black men they had there, they were all homosexual. I was the only straight black man there. And I was like, And it was like the yeah. So I was like, okay. And it was, just no white men, only straight black men there. And in comedy, I was a little bit, because this was a comedy situation. Oh, let me back up. So they also introduced the current people that was signed up in the program, and they got up and they spoke and all this. And what it was they were the cast of, I'm not gonna say the name, of a revamped, they were bringing back an old sketch comedy show. They were bringing it back. And now I don't remember if that sketch comedy show made it to air or not. I think it did. I feel like it did make it to air, and people just thought it sucked, and it got canceled like immediately. And so they were talking about that. And my thing was, this is comedy, and you're saying diversity, but it's really not. So I thought that was a red flag, because you're limiting people's voices. You're saying you can't go this far, or not go this far, but you can't, we're only focused on these topics because it's diverse. And then that's not comedy. Like, you're handicapping the comedy. And I was like, I'm not gonna like that. I'm not gonna like that environment. So I enjoyed their food, listened to their pitch, and went home. And so I want to say, sometime later, that person did blow up. And here's the funny thing about this person that blew up. This person got allegations of being an industry plant. And I was like, oh, shoot. I think they're about right, because I was there. And they said, this is the next person we're pushing forward to, and they're going to blow up. It's like, what? Like I said, how do you predict that? But So when those allegations came out,